Hi, it's Penny here. Welcome to another reading vlog. This week, the weather is once again, because it's spring, about to turn crap and rainy. Or at least for the first half of the week, it's going to be crap and rainy, so I'm hoping to get a bunch of reading done. And then the second half of the week is going to be sunnier, so maybe we'll be out and enjoying the sunshine. But also, we just bought ourselves like an outside lounge, so I'm kind of hoping also to spend some time lying in the sunshine and reading. So hopefully lots of reading. This is the last week of October, so really I need to be finishing off my October TBR, which is kind of just these two books plus my audiobook. But I also have the Raven Tower back here, lurking back here, that I would also like to get to. Honestly, I feel like that's very delusional that I could even attempt that, but I always enjoy a delusional plan, so why not? So firstly, I'm reading Spectyr by Philippa Ballantine. So this is the second book in the Book of the Order series, which is all about this world where there are ghosts, or like they call them specters or geists or other things, depending on how powerful they are, and they come through from the other side and like kill people and do horrible things. And then our main characters are these people who have these different powers. They kind of use different runes and like gauntlets. It's a little bit steampunky. So they use these runes to like keep the other side at bay and keep it back. But there's some like bigger, more powerful other side beings starting to cause trouble in the world, and some corrupted people on the human side of things. So in this one, our main two characters who are part of the Order have just found out that their friend, the exiled prince, is now going to be in danger. They saw a bit of a vision that he's going to die, so they're going to go off and save him. And then the prince has learned that his sister, the princess that he really loves, has been kidnapped by slavers, so he's off to try and save his sister. But also, the very last chapter, so I'm already 50 pages into this. The last chapter I read of this, we got a chapter of this goddess. So in this world, the gods are mostly referred to as small gods, because when these ghosts initially came through and started killing everyone, people prayed to the gods that they had previously worshipped and got no response. So worship has significantly dropped off since then. And now we're kind of getting to meet, or we're getting the perspective of one of these gods, and we're realizing that maybe they're not as different from the ghosts as people thought. Anyway, this is an older fantasy series by a New Zealand author. I really like the ideas in it. The execution is middle of the road, maybe not that great, but I'm going to try and get through this first. Also have the Dawnhounds, and honestly, I'm not going to tell you anything about this until I can actually read a little bit more and maybe even figure out what's happening. I think I'm about 15% of the way through, and so far I still don't really know what the point of the book is, which is part of why I'm struggling to find motivation to pick it up. Then as well, I did just start the audiobook before when I was doing a little bit of housework of The Raven Scholar. So I think I'm only like half an hour into it, and it's like a 24-hour audiobook. What I know about it is it's some kind of fantasy murder mystery. I don't know. So far, in the first half hour, we've really just been introduced to this girl who is the descendant of an original empress, but then there was some other emperor and her father led this like coup, but it failed, and so they've kind of been disgraced as a result. But now her and her brother are 16 and the emperor has called them in front of him, and we don't know what's going to happen. My concern picking this up is that it would be more YA than my taste, and I'm still concerned about that because the audiobook narrator sounds young, or they're reading the character quite young, and the main character is only 16, so we'll see, I guess, how that goes. Hello! So, yesterday, Monday, was a public holiday here in New Zealand, and we pretty much spent, well, the whole afternoon. We were going to have just a small nap. It ended up being the whole afternoon, but I think I needed it, so it's fine. But I have now, it's Tuesday, gotten myself together to try and be productive. And I have also managed to read about half of Spectyr, so I'm making okay progress with this. I actually don't really know how I'm feeling about it. Because, like, if I think about the Dawnhounds, this I haven't picked up at all because I'm not enjoying it. There's nothing motivating me to pick it up. But this, I don't know if I'm even, like, considering not picking it up. But I also don't know if that's because I'm loving it or just because I've turned this into like a thing that I'm doing, so I'm just doing it. Does that make any sense? Because with this, I have been doing the thing, I think I talked about this in my last vlog. I haven't been doing the thing where I was timing myself reading it, but I have been doing the thing where at the end of every chapter, I'm writing down what happened. And I feel like in every chapter, not that much happens, but enough happens, like something happens that's moving the plot forward or we're learning something. Whereas this, every chapter, I was like, what was the point of that? So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of enjoying this, but I still don't think it's particularly well written. Maybe I'm enjoying trying to figure out what's really going on, like not just in terms of there's a bit of a murder mystery that's been introduced now, so we're trying to work out what's going on with that murder mystery, and there's like a bigger thing going on with our main characters and their connection to the past and to the other side. So there's a lot of mysteries to work out, but like it's an additional challenge to try and work out what's happening, given that it's not always written in a way that makes it easy to understand what the author is saying. Like sometimes I think, like sometimes it will say something that makes it clear to me that the author thought they already told me something, and I'm like, but I don't think you did tell me that. Or you did say it, but not really in a way that like made it clear. It's like it's assuming that I'm figuring things out that I haven't necessarily figured it out, which makes me wonder if I'm too dumb for this book. But I also don't think this book is written in a way where it's like targeted at really smart people. So I don't think that's right. Or if it is, then marketing fail. Anyway, I think I'm enjoying this. Is that my conclusion? I think so. Either way, I will definitely be continuing this. With the Dawnhounds, I think I've decided to DNF this. I am 20% of the way through. Can you hear all those birds outside? They're being crazy. I don't know if my mic will pick it up, but they are making a lot of noise. It's kind of beautiful, but kind of not at the same time. This book, not beautiful. This book, I just have there's nothing pulling me in, nothing making me want to read this. I don't know why I would want to read this. There is a theme in here where our main character is bisexual, and the way that's being treated by her superiors in the police force is very like condescending. I keep kind of talking about it as her like little issue, because they don't have a problem with her being bisexual, like they have a problem with her wanting to have sex with women. So they're like, well, you still want to have sex with men though, so you're okay. If you weren't willing to have sex with men, that would be completely no, but it's only a half issue. So the way they're dealing with it is kind of interesting, and not interesting in a good way, but like it's an interesting thing for our main character to be struggling against. And you can see that this story, a lot of it is probably going to be her discovering a space where she can be herself in that way. But I think that's just not enough to make this story interesting. I'm still kind of disappointed because there are some cool things going on in the world with the whole biopunk mushroom-based technology and the alchemy, like these blanks that have been programmed to act certain ways. Like there's really cool things going on in here, but the way it's been written, I just don't enjoy it. And I did actually try to just skip to some later chapters and read a little bit to see whether it looked like it was going to improve. And it looks like it's going to introduce a bunch of other characters that she's going to be like working with to do something. But I just don't think it looked like anything I was still going to get interested in. So I'm going to DNF this, even though I'm kind of sad about it. So then, even though I haven't been picking up an ebook at all recently, because I haven't been motivated to pick this up, I thought, well, if I don't have this ebook, I'll need another ebook to read. And the book I managed to get from the library, it was a skip the line copy through Libby. And I think it's a terrible idea to try and read it. I think I'm going to DNF it. So is this bad decision making? Yes, but I'm just kind of curious. So the book that I've got is Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon. So this is another book in the Priory of the Orange Tree series. No, the series is called Roots of Chaos. So I've read Priory of the Orange Tree as well as A Day of Fallen Night, and I didn't mind Priory, but I thought that it should have been split up into a trilogy and it would have been a million times better. And there was a lot about Samantha Shannon's world building that I really struggled with. Then A Day of Fallen Night I just thought was a big waste of everyone's time, kind of the same story just rehashed, and well, an earlier version of the same story with different characters, but just a lot that I didn't care about. I thought it was too much blah, 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 too much filler. And again, the world building that I didn't really enjoy. So why am I picking up another book in the same world? It's like another kind of prequel, which is another thing with this series. Samantha Shannon keeps writing books where she's like, this is another place where you could enter the world. But is this going to be the same story again? Is it? I kind of feel like yes. But the thing that made me kind of interested to pick it up is that it's much shorter. So I think it's only 280 pages maybe. Like shorter than 300 pages. And the other two books in the series were like big chonkers. And I thought a little one, maybe it won't be so much filler. Maybe it won't be so much heavy-handed world building. Maybe. So what we're going to do, I haven't even marked this as something I'm reading online or in any of my plans. I'm going to try picking up the ebook. And if I don't love it, we're just going to pretend that never happened. So next time I update you, I'll probably mention it. But we'll see. The other thing is the audiobook that I've been reading. So I did read a little bit more of it. To be honest, I hate the Audible update where you can change it. So now you can see the percentage that you're through, which I have done. But what you can no longer see easily, as far as I can tell, is how far through you are. But I can go and change it to show me how far through I am. But then it won't tell me my percentage anymore. Like, just tell me all the statistics. That's all I want from an audiobook app. I mean, obviously also to play the audiobook, but then I want wonderful statistics. That's what I want. Everything else is wasting my time. Anyway, I don't know how far through I am, but it's saying 8%. Oh, 4 chapters. I'm 4 chapters in. Anyway, with this book, I think I mentioned last time how I was feeling like it was very YA in terms of the audiobook narration and also the writing style. This time, when I was listening to a bit more of it, I started thinking, actually, the audiobook narration is quite like middle grade styles. And I was trying to decide if the actual story itself was middle grade or just the audiobook narration. And then we got to this bit where it really leaned into the middle grade audiobook narration. And I was like, no, this is definitely like a children's book. And then they used the word fucker. And I was like, oh, nope. Not a children's book. And that was very jarring, like just didn't quite seem right. So I'm very mixed about this book. I feel like if I was reading it with my eyes, I would be having a very different experience, but I also don't think that I'm invested enough to make that change. Then the other thing that's making this seem quite like YA or more targeted at a younger audience is the world building. So it's all based around this idea that there's 8 animals, and when you get of age, you kind of align yourself with a certain animal, and different roles within society are fulfilled with people from the different factions. And all of that feels very, I don't know, like something that's been done a lot and is quite common in YA books, right? This like getting sorted into different factions. And this descendant of the previous emperor or like daughter of this rebel has gone with her brother, and they're going to decide what faction they're going to be in. And then that all goes quite badly. But then we finally got to a different character's perspective, and this now makes a lot of sense to what I had heard, is that the main character is like a Raven Scholar, the name of the book, and that she's really smart and kind of been brought in to deal with some kind of mystery. So now we're getting her perspective, and she's been asked to, I don't want to spoil it. She's been asked to write up some papers related to what's happening to this other girl that we were following initially, and she's not sure she agrees with what's going on there. And I am liking her perspective better. I'm wondering if all the rest of the stuff I've been listening to so far is kind of more of a prologue, and we're not going to get this other young girl's perspective again. It's sometimes hard in audiobooks, like with physical books, often they format it in a certain way so you can know when that's happening. But with this, I don't really know if that's what's happening or not. But anyway, I've only had 1 chapter of this new girl, so I guess we'll see whether I continue to like her better or not. Okay, so I am once again filming a video. This time it's going to be my TBR, and I figured since I had the camera out, I would update you, even though I haven't actually read much of anything. But what I did do this morning is I tried Among the Burning Flowers, and it went actually worse than I thought it might. what I remembered from A Day of Fallen Night is the writing being so flowery and emotional, and these characters' stories being so like overly angsty. And that is not what we were getting in this new one. It was still doing the world building thing where it just kind of like dumps a bunch of names and places and like things on you without giving you any real context. But yeah, in Samantha Shannon's previous books, I still kind of remembered the characters being quite core to things. Whereas this, it took a long time to even, well, not that long, but you know, it took its time getting to our main character who's like this princess locked in a tower with like some kind of lava waterfall or something, which 100% didn't make sense to me, like scientifically, but I'll let it go, I guess. But yeah, it took ages to get to this princess, and I still don't even know like what is the situation with her. I think I only read a chapter, but still, that chapter gave me no reason to care about her at all, and the writing was just really boring. So yeah, to me, it seemed worse than Samantha Shannon's previous things. So I read 5%. Did I say that already? I'm going to DNF it. I'm going to pretend I just never picked that up. I thought that might be the case, and I was right. Hello. So I have finished off Spectyr, and you know, I've just remembered I forgot to write down my summaries of the last 2 chapters, and I think I better remember to do that because I already feel like I can feel the ending slipping away, even though I would say I do think the ending was very satisfying, and I don't know if it's that the writing throughout this improved or I just got used to it, but I did find it like flowing better or like easier to understand as I went along. Was it also summarizing the chapters that like helped me to practice understanding it? I'm not sure. Anyway, I did find this easier to get into as it went along. I also really do enjoy a lot of the ideas and the world building and the way all the different threads are coming together, which I believe in the next 2 books of the series like continues to like build. So even though I think I'm probably still going to give this about 3 stars, maybe 3.5, maybe. Anyway, even though that's not that high a rating, I still think I'm pretty excited about continuing this series now because I kind of remember like some big reveals and like big earth-shattering type events happening in the next 2 books. So I'm excited to continue this. And I definitely think, even though I've probably criticized the writing in this a lot of the time while I was reading it, I definitely think there is an audience for this book. Like, there's plenty of other books out there being published right now where I would criticize the writing as well. And it really is a cool world. And as well, I think the characters are really likable. I like the characters a lot. So, since I finished that off, I did start a new book last night, and that is The Raven Tower by Leckie, so my lurker book that I talked about at the beginning of the vlog. I doubt that I'm going to finish this by the end of the week. However, I did manage actually in the end to fit this on my November TBR, so I can take a little bit more time to finish it. And actually, this does read pretty easy as well. Is the improvement in my reading experience, maybe with this book and the other book, actually to do with my mental power? Like, is my brain just feeling better? Honestly, maybe. But anyway, this, I had forgotten. I think I knew that it was going to be written in second person, but I'd forgotten. And I love a good second person book. Not always. Like, I don't just like second person as a rule, but when it's well done, I like it. And this, I think, is well done. I think I'm still trying to decide, but I'm suspecting that the reason why it's written in second person is because it's written from the perspective of a god, but who knows? It starts out with these 2 people arriving at this city. One of them is the heir to the Raven throne, Raven seat, some kind of leadership position where they have like a direct voice to the Raven god. And then the other one, who is the you in the story, they are some kind of friend or servant. It's not really clear their exact role, but they're arriving in the city expecting that the current Raven ruler, whatever they're called, lease of the Raven. Anyway, they're about to die, and then the heir was expecting to take the throne, but somebody else is causing problems. I only got 30 pages in last night, so I didn't get very far, but it definitely was intriguing. I will say, this doesn't really have chapters, It just has ravens, like different pictures of ravens throughout it every few pages. So I'm kind of treating those as chapters, but they're also kind of not chapters. Here's another raven. Anyway, I didn't read much of this last night, and tonight's Friday night, so I probably won't read much more. I mean, technically I have some time this afternoon, but I also have still some other things I wanted to do this afternoon. But maybe I'll try and get to some more of this tomorrow. I really do think I'm going to love it. And I realize, actually, since I started this, it means I'm reading 2 Raven things. So the Raven Tower and also the Raven Scholar, which I now am a third of the way into the Raven Scholar. To be honest, it took until about a quarter of the way through to set up everything that I kind of heard about this book. So the actual murder mystery and also our main character kind of getting involved in this competition. Also, every time I heard someone talking about this competition, I thought it was just some kind of like competition to get some kind of special role or to win a big prize or something. I guess it is the first one I said, but it's like a competition to become the new emperor, a competition for the throne. But our main character isn't really interested in that. They're expecting to lose the competition, but they're just involved in it in order to help investigate this murder mystery. Anyway, I am actually having a lot of fun with the Raven Scholar at the moment. I do still think a lot of my criticisms still stand. Like, it still feels very, like, young for the throne. That is not a very good way of doing it, is it? It all seems a little bit nonsense, but there have been some kind of interesting elements introduced to the story, so I am interested to see what it will do with that. So hopefully I can find some time to listen to that audiobook a little bit more as well. So I am once again at my desk filming a video. This time it's going to be my monthly wrap-up, which should be up slightly after this vlog if I actually get this vlog up. Anyway, I'm very proud of myself for being productive and doing the video stuff, but reading. I did also do some gardening, and I went on a run this morning, and amongst all of that, I was listening to the Raven Scholar, and I think I'm feeling differently about it now. Like, it's kind of talked me around to enjoying it. I definitely still think that it's very young, and I don't really think any of these like contenders for the throne are viable options. Like, they're all so young and immature. It doesn't quite seem right. And a lot of the trials as part of this competition are kind of nonsense. And then as well, just the whole way things are being run doesn't make a lot of sense. The whole fact that our main character got put in charge of this like murder investigation when there's definitely other people that are more qualified. Maybe there's some arguments for why it might have happened, given some things we've learnt, but really, it's nonsense. But putting all of that aside, there are some really interesting things happening with the plot. A lot of stuff being revealed, and like the way that things are being discovered is really interesting. As well, the thing I'm loving the most is there are these little bits that are kind of from the perspective of the Raven. And at first, I thought the audiobook narration was ruining those bits. I was like, I think I would love these bits if it wasn't for this like very over the top, again, like almost like a children's book narration of these parts of the Raven talking. But as we've gone on, I think I'm appreciating that very over the top narration more and more. And I think it's really fitting the character of the Raven, and like that Raven aspect of the story is becoming more prominent, and I kind of love it. I definitely would be interested to try and get my hands on the physical book, because I think it must be doing something with the formatting, maybe to like show certain parts are different. And I think maybe there's a lot of footnotes as well, which we're not getting in the audiobook, or like we're getting the footnotes, but they're not being read as footnotes. They're being read as like insertions. It's complicated. And depending how the last bit goes, I'm 2/3 of the way in now. Depending how the last bit goes, I might even be interested in rereading this physically sometime just to see those differences. Because at this point, like, I think I'm definitely going to be continuing this trilogy. I think it's a trilogy. And I have a strong feeling that this book is going to end like with a lot of things opened up but not necessarily a lot of things resolved. So I think I'm going to be wanting that second book. Like already, I'm only 2/3 of the way through and already I'm like, I'm going to need that second book. So that really is a very big change in opinion about that book since the beginning of it, when I was like, why is this so young? And I definitely still have a lot of criticisms of it, but I feel like you can put all those criticisms aside and still enjoy it. And I can definitely see why this book has been so popular. Like the main character is definitely very compelling. And there have been quite a few bits, especially related to the Raven, where I have like laughed out loud in public because it was just funny. So that's that Raven book. I'm also reading this Raven book. It's interesting that I ended up reading 2 Raven books and also that they're both kind of involving the perspective of the Raven god. This one though, I am enjoying it, but I haven't gotten very far. I'm only about 70 pages, which I guess is like 15% in, and the story is quite slow. I'm really liking the bits where it's this god talking about their existence and their like kind of slow understanding of what's going on and finding their place in the world. And then the other story, which is about this aide to the heir of the Raven's seat. That's very slow and very little has happened there, but I guess I'm not that far in. But it's kind of like anytime it gets back to that part of the story, I'm like, is something going to happen? But then when we get to the bits where it's the Raven god talking about their own experience, those are the bits that I'm really interested in. I think just because that is like so much more different and interesting and unique. Anyway, at this point, I am going to end the vlog here because it's Sunday and I like to put my vlogs up on Monday morning New Zealand time, even though I'm not convinced that's a good time for them. But that's when I do it, or I try to. I think I'm going to finish off these books in the next reading vlog. Was I reading something else? I think in this reading vlog, I DNF'd the Dawnhounds. Oh, and I read Spectyr. So this is my favorite thing I finished. This, I guess I didn't finish because I decided I didn't want to. This is an interesting start, and the Raven Scholar has managed to really change my opinions about it, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that and this in the next reading vlog. Let me know if you've read any of these books, whether you like them or not. I'd love to talk with you about them down in the comments. Do subscribe if you'd like to see more of my bookish videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.